Suck my big earth with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent with your friend?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Gem's Flat Earth Sunday Roast. In tonight's show, we answer the questions you were afraid to ask, such as, why didn't I start writing this earlier? Would it have been funnier if I had? And, if Pluto is a dog, what's goofy? Well, Flat Earth, of course. It's goofy as hell, as we find out on our 2-hour tour of Pancakia. I am your host, Gem, and joining me this evening are just two of the cool kids from the Debate Flat Earth and More Discord server. They are Cat Earth and Curved. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Why is there only two of us?
You've got to try and make it sound like there's more of you. Fill it up.
Should I get a voice changer? Do the James Brown.
Oh, the music's ended.
Oh, okay, cool. We gotta go.
Yeah, I've got to find the window now that makes it stop. Where's it gone? I haven't got one. Oh my god.
The show is going to become more professional, isn't it, Joe?
Yes, as soon as we get more monitors, we'll be good. How's your week been, gentlemen?
Pretty good. Opened up this week. COVID lockdown situation.
Yeah.
Still a bit quiet on the high street, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I've been back to work this week as well. And, it's horrible. I do not like it. I've enjoyed the just no stress in my life, you know. And now there's shit to deal with all the time, you know.
Mm. Do you still have all those really loud sounds that go off when you're working? I remember you used to have like...
no, I've got rid of that. I got rid of that a long time ago.
That's extra.
Everybody else hated it so much, but... the reason I did it was when I set the business up, we were, you know, because right at the start, you know, I'd get like 3 orders in a night, you know, from 5 o'clock till 11 o'clock or something like that. You know, so I had a tendency to just nod off. So I had this really, really loud noise so that when an order came in, it made this massive noise, and the plan was that I couldn't sleep through it. Anyway.
There we go.
That's somewhat off topic, isn't it?
Sorry, that's my bad.
So we've got lots of video to come this week. Actually, quite a lot of long clips this week. And 1 clip less than last week, but 7 minutes more video. So lots to go at, so we should get on with it. So, without further ado, if you were looking closely this week, you may have caught a fleeting glimpse of red fur running across the fields, or you may have heard the baying from the pack of hounds. Yes, you guessed it, Queen of all Flatties, Patricia Steer is back, and she's looking for a man. Here she is in a return to Flat Earth, in a hangout that was mostly about menstruation and menopause, the things I have to endure for you guys. Here's Patty.
And tonight we got Patricia Steer. Yay!
We need to make a bitch's brew of the DMSO and cannabis oil and turpentine and colloidal silver. Like stir it up in a pot and serve it out.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
with the pure quote unquote corona.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the turpentine? Because that sounds like it would be not something that would be healthy.
If I could only have one thing in the cupboard when the apocalypse completely knocks us out, that would be it.
Comes in a glass bottle too. There's different kinds you can get. You can get them on Amazon, and you have to make sure to get the one that isn't the paint thinner. People always say paint thinner. I remember back in maybe 2015, 2016, when I had my old channel, I had people on the show and we had like a panel like this discussing it. And that was back in the time when there were lots of attacks going out at anybody from fellow truth movement people, if you decided you wanted to talk about something like turpentine, or drinking bleach, if you wanted to talk about hydrogen peroxide at a higher concentration. And so, man, I used to get slammed for these thoughts and ideas, or, colloidal silver, you'll turn blue. But somehow those hater people have disappeared now. I don't know what happened to them. Their channels used to be solely devoted to only one thing, attacking other truthers. They're gone now. There's this thing that I recently found just browsing around in the internet, and it's somehow tied to Nikola Tesla, and they're called Nikola Tesla's purple energy plates, and they sound like a total scam. But I bought some because I want to see. And you can look up a book that they sell on Amazon, which I still haven't received yet. And I don't have the energy plates yet either, called The Miracle of Nikola Tesla's Purple Energy Plates. And they attract paramagnetism. I just tell myself everything's fine. Everything will be great. And I actually, when I wake up in the morning, tell myself I love myself every morning. And I hug myself and kiss my arm. Yeah, this is what I do. Good morning, Patty. I love you. To me, this COVID thing, I used to say it's just the flu. Not like it's just the flu, brah. But no, it's just the flu. But I actually think it's just a cold. And it can kill you if you're 95 with several different conditions and you're weak. You've had a heart attack, you've had cancer, you're 95, you're not in the happiest mental state, several what they call comorbidities. You could die, yeah, but a regular healthy person who gets a cold, yeah, it's not going to be fun for a couple days, but you'll be fine. I used to think coronavirus was real, by the way. And then it started being exhibited in the United States, what they're doing about it. And that's how I found out that it was fake, simply looking around at the stupidity. I keep thinking it was going to go away, but they're taking this all the way. They have to now. They'll never say they were wrong about the numbers publicly. They'll never say any of that. They have to say things like Houston's got more numbers. It's very dangerous. They've got to do that. They've got to do it. And I guess their end goal, of course, is total and ultimate control over everyone. Although I thought they had that already because we've got our tracking cell phones, but they want even more control. I was at a restaurant today eating lunch, and there was a guy. I was sitting, let's just say I'm sitting here, and somebody was sitting across from me, and we were talking. But behind him was another guy, solo, and I saw him come in with his mask. He pulled his mask down to eat, and he pulled out a bottle of hand sanitizer and was cleaning his hand sanitizer. And he had his mask like down to here, getting ready to get his food. And I just felt like crying for him because he's gone. His critical thinking is gone. And he's just living in fear, killing any sort of good stuff on his skin that would be protective. And I mean, I am kind of living in fear too about this on a certain level because I am worried about what they're going to do to us. But this guy's living in fear about something that's not even real. And also being a single woman who would like to meet a really wonderful man, I look around and I see all these men with masks, and it's like, I don't need to now find out what you're all about. I know what you're all about, and I'm not interested in you because I hate to use the word sheep because sheep are wonderful, but you're a sheep. So in a way, it's made it harder to meet somebody because there's almost no way now. But also, it's easier to see who you don't want to meet because they're wearing a mask. They don't know how to be free. There may come a time when you may have to mask up and tell your children to mask up in order to protect your own life, even if you don't believe in it, kind of like what you were saying, Cammie, because they've got surveillance on you and will take you out if you are one of the people who's like the rebels. I have a channel that's really small, and I pretty much just ramble for like an hour or 2 hours about whatever I'm thinking about, and that's it. It's called Patricia Steer, and I've been doing videos on the COVID thing mostly, and that's it. And I only have 4 videos on my channel. But the other day I was also thinking about maybe doing a show on how I think rocks are alive. Just a very much different life than we've got, much slower, but just as valid. I like hearing other people's wisdom. I'm always in the truth community blown away by how smart people are, how bright people are, how much more they know than me. And I don't mean that as a putting myself down. I just mean I'm just blown away by the people that are in this community in a really good way. When you get involved in the truth community, even if you might not get along with everybody or like everybody or have an affinity for everybody, everybody has something of value to offer. All humans do, but most people who are in the matrix have been so silenced by the system that they don't have the ability anymore to have original thoughts. So you can't have those amazing conversations with them. They probably have the capability, or used to before they lost their humanity. But within the truth community, people haven't lost their humanity. And so those are our people.
Trust me, Patricia, I look much better with a mask.
Oh.
So, well, there's a lot to go out there. As always, she's peddling, you know, alternative health crap, various descriptions, including Tesla purple plates. Have you heard of those?
No.
No, I haven't either. No doubt.
New one to me.
Have you heard of it, Curved?
Nope, that's new to me.
Tesla
Something about paramagnetic.
Yeah, paramagnetism, she said. I don't know what the hell that is. Does anybody know what that is? Let us know. So what do you reckon, Curved? Would you lose your mask so you could go on a date with Patty?
Hell no. I don't want to be anywhere near that. Hey, here's something that I would say to her if I did meet her face to face. Patricia, this is what I'm reading. Turpentine oil is unsafe when taken by mouth or used over a large area of skin. Turpentine oil, when taken by mouth, can cause serious side effects, including headache, sleeplessness, coughing, bleeding in the lungs, vomiting, kidney damage, and then minor brain damage, coma, and death. So,
not much.
And Curb knows that because the doctor told him that when he was telling him to stop drinking turpentine. Right, Curb?
I was kicking and screaming, but I gave it up.
You've got a bottle of it handy, haven't you? That's where that came from. That was not from Wikipedia. That was from the back of the bottle, I fear.
Yeah, that's my bottle. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet.
Thank you for the super chat, Davros. What the hell is this? The Witchetty Hour of Lamented Old Women. Strangely enough, it is called The Bitches Brew, that show. It's Karen B's show. And they were all... Yeah, there was a lot of talk about menopause, ways to deal with hot flushes, all that sort of thing. All that I had to wade through to get all these little bits of Patty. I did think there, though, at the end, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it did seem to me like she was, it was like trying to find her way back in, you know? She was trying to, it seemed like she was trying to build bridges. You know, she was being very nice about the truth community, which she wasn't when she left, was she? She was pretty disparaging generally about them. So it did seem to me like she's trying to find her way back in there, you know.
Was that whole stream just her kind of moaning? She does seem very menopausey. Sorry to be sexy.
It didn't really start out that way, but it did seem to become her, you know, she had to take it to the whole, you know, she had to hit on the Antonio bit at some point, you know, that always got in there. And, you know, she mentions her channel there, and she said, I've only got 4 videos on it. Well, she had, I don't know, I think it was at least 4 that she had done on the whole narcissism thing. And they've disappeared, and now she's got 4 that are mostly to do with lockdown and COVID and things like that. So she obviously gave up on that idea. But, you know, I can't knock her for that, because I have a new channel idea every week. So, you know, you know, you try things, and I guess she didn't get the kind of following that she was hoping to get from it, and it died a death, I think.
Now she's trying to piggyback off Flat Earth again.
Well, it did seem like that, didn't it? That she was sort of trying to build bridges there. She was saying that sort of generally nice things about everyone, and you know, even if you don't get on with some people, they still sort of value or whatever she said. I can't remember, but that sort of thing.
She's probably very lonely as well, because everyone's been locked down and she's on her own. Do you know what I mean? She's just trying.
Yeah, and she was like the star, wasn't she? She really was the queen of Flat Earth, wasn't she? And, you know, she was the sort of go-to gal, wasn't she? For, you know, if they needed a female Flat Earth representative, it was her. You know, you know, she'd done quite a bit of media, hadn't she? And you know, she did the awards ceremony at the conference and all that sort of thing. So, you know what I mean? She was pretty high-ranking as far as Flat Earth went.
Yeah,
and she must miss that, you know.
Yeah, if she wants to regain that title of Queen of Flat Earth, she's going to have to wrestle it away from Lemonbird now.
I think there's a few people vying for that title. I guess Karen B has kind of sort of stepped into that role to some extent. There's that what's her name, Rose 777. She's doing a lot of stuff these days. There's well, I guess there's them too. Not really a few. Anyway, shall I have another clip?
Yeah. Can I just say about Lemonbird? Like,
yeah, go ahead.
He don't seem too happy anymore. I was listening on one of his things. He used to be so jolly, and now he's like thinks he's a philosopher or something.
Was he doing that thing where he sounds like he's just too tired to tell you any more things about the flat Earth? Because he drops into that mode every now and then, doesn't he? Where it's just sort of.
He used to be so jolly like a year or two ago. You know what I mean? He's just a jolly guy, and now he's depressing.
I have often maintained that there is evidence of them getting madder. You see it from time to time. You know, you think, God, that guy didn't used to be as bonkers as this. You know? All right, let's have another clip. Now, it's this stage, isn't it, that usually I read out the introduction to the wrong clip. So let's just roll back my script here. Make sure I've got the right one.
When you showed the video you showed me, you've kind of mixed them up because it's a different clip, right? And then this again, or
it's what?
Anyway, I don't know what. Just
different to what?
Carrying with.
I haven't sent you a list, have I? You don't know what's in.
Yeah.
Different to what?
Just carry on. I'm
You're worrying me. You're worrying me. All right, well, let's hope that I've got the right clip. Next, a somewhat groovy video in my view. You may remember Martin Kenny. He was an FEIC speaker, perhaps best known for his 3D flat Earth models fashioned from paper mache. Well, he has finally joined the digital age with a really nicely produced video detailing his flat Earth model. Plus, he tells us all about the event. It's coming.
My name is Martin Kenny. I'm a student of flat Earth geocentric science, cosmology, astrology, anthropology, and spirituality. Over the last few years, I've dedicated my life to trying to rediscover and share the true secrets of who we are, where we are, and where we're going.
For those with eyes to see and ears to hear, the year 2020 marks one of the most important events in our history. Let us help you prepare, understand, and be aware of the changes to come in our world.
This body of work is a hypothesis and theory based on syncretic research. One last disclaimer, some of the maps on these models and elements are not to spec, and I did them to be as visual as possible, so don't mind some of the maps being off, distorted, or totally wrong. They are meant for representation purposes only. In short, we're not on a ball. Our Earth currently consists of 4 concentric rings of physical land, beginning and spiraling out from the 0-point axis at the center of the plane. The very middle center of this vast earthly concentric plane is what's known as the 0-point axis. This is what we refer to as the magnetic North Pole. This central pole is not just a symbolical metaphor, but an actual physical marker said to be a magical, or should I say, magnetic pillar, sometimes referred to as a holy mountain or the tree of life. The first big red pill you're gonna have to swallow is that beyond all these dimensional fields of energy from where we are now, in our northern and southern extremities, are other extraterrestrial lands inhabited by other extraterrestrial civilizations. Each of these four-dimensional rings of Earth have their own eco, lunar, solar systems and seasons, and their own sun and moons, which would be our current 7 wandering stars. Saturn and Jupiter being the solar sun and lunar moon of the outermost ring, domain, or realm of Earth. Mars and Venus being the solar sun and lunar moon of the next concentric domain of Earth inside that. This Mars and Venus domain would be the main realm beyond our southern Antarctic boundary and the Aurora Australis electromagnetic field. Then, of course, we have our own solar sun, Apollo, and lunar moon, Artemis, in this domain. And last but not least, Mercury within the inner central realm beyond our northern Arctic boundary and Aurora Borealis electromagnetic field. This inner star, Mercury, is androgynous, both a solar sun and lunar moon in one. It's sometimes referred to as the inner Earth Sun or Black Sun or Planet Nibiru or Planet X. Now, just as there are 4 earthly physical realms, there are also 4 physical humanoid root races associated with the creation of each realm. These 4 root races are the Hyperboreans, Lemurians, Atlanteans, and Aryans. But there's also a 5th race of beings that lives in the center, Mount Meru, of our Earth. This is the master root race, the Polarians. Unlike the other 4, the Polarians are semi-ethereal, meaning not completely physical beings. They do not have a definitive skin pigment, size, color, or race. Having said that, they are often depicted as being somewhat indigo-bluish, translucent beings. The very middle or central point of Earth is where the earth and the heavens meet, and this is where the gods live. We propose that the Polarians are able to transverse between the 2 worlds, the heavens or spiritual realms above and earth/physical planes below. So, 2020 means you have perfect vision. It means on the 21st of December 2020, during the winter solstice, there's going to be a great cosmic solar event that will be seen and experienced by every single conscious being in our universe. This is what is commonly being described as the event. So on December 21st, 2020, Mercury at the center, our sun in this domain, Mars in the next domain, and Saturn in the last domain, and all the moons on the other side, will all stop and align in the same direction on the same path and gradient at the same time for the first time in 6,000 years. This is what we hypothesize is the long-awaited return of the sun/sun, or Christ, the galactic alignment, return of Nibiru, or Planet X, or consciousness, the great solar event. This cosmic solar alignment will take 3 days to fully align, starting on the 21st of December and ending on the 25th of December. The electromagnetic torus fields in all 4 realms will either disappear or open up or weaken due to this galactic solar alignment. This is the opening of the portals or windows of the heavens spoken of in the Bible. This opening should occur for 7 days, from the 25th to the 31st of December 2020. That also means everyone on Earth will all be able to see all the different wandering solar systems of all the domains clearly in our skies. Everyone will have 2020 vision. This solar alignment is meant to realign cosmic energy and consciousness within the various earthly domains and realms of our Earth. This energy blast will begin at the center of the Earth, or the North Pole. It will spiral outwards towards the edge and bounce back towards the center over a very short period of time. The event itself will be triggered by an electromagnetic sonic boom that will look like what we know as a nuclear atomic bomb. Don't worry though, it will not be an atomic bomb. However, it will positively be nuclear. It will give humanity a new, clear vision for the future, individually and collectively. It will give us 2020 vision. We suspect the current powers that be will attempt to use this natural cosmic event as the ultimate false flag. They may say aliens did it, or it was caused by global warming, or an attack from across the world. This sonic boom of electromagnetic energy may shut down our entire electric grid instantaneously, causing a collapse of our financial, socioeconomic, political, and collective cultural existence as we know it. And thus, this event may be used to pave the way for a new order in our world. But this cosmic event is not to be feared. It is a natural process to allow growth within our individual and collective consciousness. The greenish astral rays that this event will create will cover the entire plane of our Earth for a short period of time. Again, it is not to be feared. Governments and authorities will most likely tell us that this green mist caused by this event is a toxin. They will tell us to stay indoors and not go outside into the radiation. Avoid it at all costs. They will say it's harmful radiation. And it will be. For those who have heavy metals in their bodies, i.e. vaccines, iron from meat eating, etc. But for those without harmful chemicals in their bodies, the radiation will radiate and activate dormant DNA, potentially giving you supernatural abilities. Maybe not Superman-like, however, a heavy increase in consciousness and your 5 senses will be expected. And for those of us planning to make the pilgrimage up north to the central realm of our Earth, aka the Garden of Eden, this will be our window of opportunity. We hypothesized that the Mayans were spot on with their prediction. Their December 21st, 2012 date marked the beginning of the end. And the 7th trumpet, of course, 7 years later, December 21st, 2019, which means December 21st, 2020 will be the first year after the 7 trumpets, the 8th year, 8, of course, being the number of completion. And it is also written that everyone on earth will witness the return of Christ consciousness or the Son of God.
Well, there you go, folks. Don't forget, Hyperborean lives matter.
Right, any flat earther who believes that, is not allowed to laugh at. You know when they show the globe with all the sun and the planets, the sun or whatever,
right?
Everything's spinning around. You can't laugh at that if you believe this. This thing is insane. Absolutely mental.
That was insane, wasn't it? I like the way he opens it up by telling you, it's important information that you need to get out there and share, and then tells you, or it might all be completely wrong. So
it's definitely completely wrong. Wow. Another thing is, I watched this earlier. I've got like a semi-decent hi-fi. There's a sub bass to this video that is like it's insane. It just
right? Yeah. I like the production now. I did think it was good. I thought the 3D stuff was really clever.
Yeah, you need to just throw a filter on the bottom end of that track. It was too much for my hi-fi.
Right. Yeah.
But
you're gonna have to keep talking for a bit because it looks like Streamlabs has crashed. Well, not exactly crashed.
Well, the other thing is, this isn't very new. Like, it's not like amazingly new idea. It's just kind of like a new age thing repackaged with some aliens. Like you got some aliens, the Numerians, what was it, and the Lumerians, whatever. That's right. It's kind of like that spirit science, new age stuff.
Yeah, I think he's sort of tied together a few ideas, but he doesn't really offer any reason to believe any of it to be true, and is, quite candidly says it might all just be a load of bollocks. So I don't know, it seemed a bit odd to me.
Isn't one of the first predictions for today? Didn't you say it would start today? Like the 21st of June, it wasn't one of them.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it wasn't it for the end of the year? I think it's...
Yeah, but it's start. I swear he said there's a start date. We'll see something. I don't know. I thought I saw that when I was watching it. But Toady says they are really a Christian org, so they have some money. I don't think this is very Christian, though. Like, this is definitely right. Not Christian. It's more Buddhist with this Mount Meru tree. But I don't know.
I'm glad he's warning people about Nibiru because in December it's coming. Again, this time it really is. Everybody be prepared. Nibiru is really coming this time.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You wonder what is he going to say when it gets to the other end of the year, and when it gets to the new year, how is he going to explain it away when none of this shit goes off? But I guess he'll just... I mean, what they usually do is they say, oh, well, it started then. You can't tell, but the change has started happening. Something along those lines is what they usually go for. I can't do anything at the moment because Streamlabs, apart from the display of the actual screens, has gone completely black for some reason. So I can't see any buttons at all to press.
Oh dear, Jim.
I know. There's always fucking something, isn't there?
You got some more good clips as well coming.
I know. I'm not really sure how to get out of this one. Let me... can you guys just talk amongst yourselves while I fiddle around?
Well, I did find it interesting. I appreciate it as a production values, but I think it's a bit bold to be making predictions so early because what's he going to do? What happens to all of these Nibiru people? They just sort of disappear, don't they, after their prediction fails?
Yeah, well, Roxanne Glenn, I think, was originally a Nibiru type, wasn't she? And then she got bored of all the failed predictions not coming true. But, it's another one of these things where they seem to be offering this, final, this deliverance. This, with this one, you actually get to go to the Garden of Eden, apparently, here.
Yeah, so Toadie's saying, because they mentioned Jesus or the Christ, but just explain, like, in New Age thing, they tie in, like, Christianity, the Christ consciousness kind of thing is an ascension or something. It's not Christian. It is New Age, basically. So just to explain that, yeah. And there's always some sort of deliverance where you will ascend and all the people who don't think like you will get stuck behind. And they kind of explain that with the nuclear thing in his one. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. It's good for us to go out in it. We'll get superpowers.
yeah. But all those sheep, that have had... Yeah. I mean, what happens if you become a conspiracy theorist, but you were vaccinated as a child? It doesn't offer much promise for you, does it? You're now against vaccinations, but you've been vaccinated. Then, doesn't work for you.
So it sort of always feeds into that kind of like, I'm sort of special and I'm doing the right thing. Right. It's almost quite Heaven's Gate in a way, isn't it? Hopefully they don't all go and jump off and do something weird.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that when he said, for those of us that are going to try and, get to the Garden of Eden or whatever, that, it did seem a little bit that way, didn't it?
How are they going to get there if they can't navigate? I mean, I guess it's at the North Pole, isn't it? They believe in the North Pole. So maybe they'll all freeze to death.
I really don't know what to do about this.
Restart it all?
Oh, hold on. Looks like it might be coming back. It's back!
There we go.
I better play the next clip quick. This is a quickie, actually. Nice little quick one. Staying with flat earth models for the time being, here is a quick update from Cammy Nodell.
But you can find me on Iron Realm Media on Friday afternoons. I also have a channel, Aisling717. You can see me in Glowbusters and in the chat. I think I will be joining them on the Glowbusters season finale this Sunday because we will be talking about holograms, and that is one of my passions. My big passions are, and I've been quietly working in the background the last 5 years, is how this place works, how the realm works, the construct, what the ground map looks like, how the sky works, how it all relates to history, and that, no, I don't have all of the answers, but I have learned a lot, and I think I'm really close on a lot of them, including the ground map. My hopes are once that we are moved to start posting videos up on my channel and going through, I think Karen and some of the people here have sat with me and done the ideas, and they've given me a lot of support and energy on it with the construct, the energy, electromagnetic field, and basically a holographic sky, but a very real universe. And so hopefully, again, once the move is done, I can get some effort into it and get the channel up and going because there has been interest. So thank you.
Yeah, a quick update there from Cammy. I thought I'd include that because I think it's, 2.5 years now since she promised us this working map, and they were all getting very excited about it. And, Apparently, she's still just about on the brink of producing it.
Meanwhile, you can get a hand-drawn one from Antonio. Already,
Yeah.
so, I mean...
Hers was the famous three-nippled heart-shaped map.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Do you remember it, Curved? Curved will remember it, because Curved never forgets anything.
I don't remember it being heart-shaped, but triple nipple, yeah.
Yeah, it had... what was it? 3 magnetic poles, was it?
Yeah, 1 north and 2 south.
Yeah, I think the South Atlantic anomaly, they decided was a pole, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. And it was a kind of a Pac-Man type model, wasn't it? Well, not exactly a Pac-Man model. It was... I think the idea was you thought you were going in one direction, but you were actually going in another because of the way these magnetic poles worked. And that got you to go around in a circle rather than... let's face it, I think she just liked it because it was heart-shaped.
Oh,
I think.
But I mean, doing it for 5 years. Is that 5 years? She said she's been doing it for.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually, well, I mean, she had been working on. There was a bit of hype building up to that. And the thing is, I mentioned this last week when they actually sort of did it or presented it all on Globebusters. That Globebusters had gone missing. They haven't got that one. Well, when I went to look this week, the one before where they, from the week before where they mention it, that's gone now as well. So, yeah, there's quite a few missing from Globebusters, where they've said something that they're later embarrassed by,
Yeah.
So,
but still, to be saying you've been working on it that long, it's not very honest, is it?
Yeah.
I know we often accuse them of dishonesty, but that is.
Well, there was a big hype leading up to it. Antonio actually was one of the ones hyping it at the time.
Right.
And, they'd finally got a working flat Earth map. And then they did this sort of primer show on Globebusters. And they said, we're going to present it all next week. But this is just a sort of little bit about it, sort of a little teaser sort of thing. But within that, they sort of said, well, it's not actually complete now, and we're going to be setting up a working group to finish it. That was where they left it on the Globebusters one, the final, when they presented it, was they were setting up a working group, and they were all going to, with different skills, and they were all going to work on this map,
I do remember that, yeah, somewhat.
One thing, yeah. Show another clip.
Oh, can I say something? I don't know if it's relevant. Shields versus Shields in chat is saying that Pete Poncho didn't stab. Who was it? He stabbed his friend. Jez, yeah. But it is true in his own words. He said he did it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah,
he definitely did it.
He did stab him.
So there you go.
Why are you saying that?
Well, Shields is a bit, it's a bit dippy, isn't he?
I know. I nearly robbed a video off Shields this week, and then I thought, better not. So, all right, let's have another clip. So, since we've had Patty, Mark Sargent actually produced some content this week, which I think is worth a watch for a couple of reasons, which I'll tell you about afterwards. Here is Mark's latest offering.
How real is this flat world? Some things to consider. Let's start off with a bold statement, one that some of you have heard me say over the last 5 years. If the world is flat and it's enclosed, then it's probably digital. What all entertainment has been striving to do since the 1990s is to create an immersive experience. One that can transport you but requires no suspension of disbelief, no buy-in. We've had some interesting revelations during the evolution of these software simulations. The first is that almost all groups or companies use the same programming techniques. Just about every piece of 3D software that has been created, be it Fortnite, Minecraft, GTA, and all earlier titles, are all built on a flat, enclosed world, similar to a cake box. In fact, everything you see above you in these realms uses what is known as a skybox system. Even those that display a dome-like structure have to eventually square off the edges, which is why I keep using the word box. Computers still can't do some of the things that we do. One is, of course, be self-aware. We will get into that later. Another is that computers can't draw true circles. Not because they aren't smart enough to do it, it's because we haven't figured out a way to tell them how to do it. That's something to think about. If you zoom in on any circle drawn by a computer, it will start to get pixelated or square off into right angles. The same goes with large areas. Eventually, you have to draw a straight edge border. Why? It's more efficient. We can create illusions of spherical things like the moon and other planets, but up close they are always just bunches of little boxes. The same goes for the flatness of these realms. They are all built using a perfectly flat base. Mountains and valleys are of course added for texture, but the outer edges are always perfectly level with each other. Why? Because programming a curvature is much more complex. Developers are notoriously efficient, and the player isn't going to notice anyway. People don't notice the missing curve in simulations because they never see it in real life either. The curve of the real Earth is supposed to be 8 inches per mile squared. But it is only assumed. See what I'm doing here? This also happens in some simulations. Warcraft being the perfect example. The game itself is built on a perfectly flat framework. Originally designed in 2004, but Warcraft globes that included continents were added to various rooms in later versions, and that subtle reinforcement worked. Now, younger players think the world of Warcraft is built on a globe framework. We believe the world that is presented to us. We have already started seeing hints that maybe, just maybe, this place isn't what we first thought it was. The most obvious is the double slit experiment, which seems confusing when you read it. I'll give you the super simple version. Have you ever made a face at someone when they aren't looking, then they turn your way and you make your face normal again? That happens all around us, all the time, to everything. Ask any scientist and they will avoid the topic, which is interesting considering they were the ones who first discovered it. When you have your back to something, it's not being rendered or drawn at its highest possible quality. When you stare at it or observe it in any way, then it does. Why is this so important? Because this is what we do in simulations right now. If you're playing a character in a building, then everything outside that building is not drawn at all. It's called conservation of resources, and we do it for obvious reasons, because it's more efficient. Why waste computer power? So why is this happening here? Why is this world displaying traits exactly like traits of our own simulation? And if you think that's the strangest clue to where we live, think again. We've discovered something years ago called neuroscience and free will. The test was simple. Tape some sensors to a person's head and have them pick numbers on a computer screen. Have the subject note the time that they decided to pick the number before hitting the keypad. So when I think of the number 3, just then I thought of it. That's one of the ways we define being self-aware, that we can choose these things out of thin air, right? We create thought from nothing. Not so fast. It turns out that the computer could tell when we decided to pick that number 8 seconds before we chose it. Maybe that didn't sink in. Think of a number right now. Now understand that a computer can see that thought process 8 seconds ago. It's not possible. Nothing exists pre-thought, unless of course all this isn't really interactive, not really live. It's like a real-time simulation, only you make most or all of the choices ahead of time. You pre-make all the big decisions, where to grow up, career paths, who to marry, etc. And the simulation fills in all the smaller stuff. You don't have to choose to brush your teeth 25,000 times in your life. After the choices have been made, you block all memory up until that point. and enter the movie. The system only has to build the path that you took. If you never chose to go to Africa during your lifetime, the system doesn't fully build it. It's there, of course, but only in reference code. And it gets stranger from there, because then you have to ask about all the other people in here with you. How many of them are actually self-aware or real, and how many are NPCs, otherwise known as non-player character? It's very possible, even likely, that the percentage of real people in this world is extremely low. And if you are listening to this and understanding that statement, then you are probably one of them. The rest of the masses milling around, sleepwalking through their lives, are just basic characters. To end this rant, I suppose I need to address the why. And there are two of them. Why not reveal the nature of the world to the people when they enter? Why not give them the freedom and unlimited choices in real time? Why hide that? Because I believe that's where you came from originally. A world with unlimited possibilities, where freedom was like breathing. This Earth is a world full of conflict and restrictions. It's the opposite. And if you realize that, you would want to leave this place every day after a certain age. That defeats the purpose. Last but not least is the other why. Why come here? Why did you volunteer to suffer in this place? It's called dualism, and we all know it in one form or another. How do you know true heat without understanding cold? Pleasure without pain, light without shadow? The truly great worlds that exist outside of here in the boundless beyond can only be appreciated when they are taken away from you. Or, as the song lyric goes, you've got to go through hell before you get to heaven.
Ah, wow. I don't know what that did to your subwoofer, Cat.
No, that one wasn't as bad as the other one. That was the other one had something seriously wrong with it. But this one I appreciated.
Is his echo still ringing in your ears?
The echo was. Somebody said he recorded it in his mum's bathroom.
Somebody else said he has that voice going on in his head all the time. Which who was that? That was funny.
The psychedelic sort of Windows 95 screensaver. Do you know what I mean? That's sort of just, it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was a bit mental, wasn't it? I kind of like the graphics though. I thought they were pretty cool. But the reason I thought that was interesting is because, just like in Martin Kenny's thing, he's offering this sort of deliverance, this. The idea that your suffering here was something that you selected to make it cooler when you got back to the real world and got out of the simulation, I think that's the sort of idea he's presenting. It's a sort of like a digital Christianity or digital Catholicism, something like that,
Again, it's a very new agey idea. This sort of idea that we plan to live the lives we lived, to experience it. But I didn't get what he meant about that sort of nobody's real or somebody's real. If you're listening to this, you're real. If you don't agree with me, you're an NPC or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this is a sort of an idea. He's sort of galvanizing an idea that already exists in Flat Earth, isn't it? The idea that they're the woke ones and everybody else is just, just a bit sleepy and not really, it's just watching their TV all the time and Twitter and, they're not, they're tuned out rather than tuning in, sort of thing, And I've always thought this is one of the sort of vilest elements of Flat Earth that they don't really think about. The way they sort of write off, vast swathes of their fellow humans as, either liars or too stupid to realize that they're being lied to.
Yeah.
And I think that's, a pretty to be thinking about your fellow humans, most of them in that way, I think is a very, very negative idea.
Well, to think they're might not even be real.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they're just a sort of empty shell, just there to, like an extra or something. And there was a lot of bollocks in there. I mean, I noticed the chat went wild when he said that computers we didn't know how to get them to draw circles, which of course is nonsense.
Wasn't he just talking about you can't really display the circle?
Well, he said we didn't know, we couldn't tell them how to do it, didn't he? And I know what you're saying. Ultimately, even with a spline or a vector graphic, if you zoom in on your screen, ultimately the image is still made of pixels, right? But the object still exists as a circle or whatever in the software, right?
Well, maybe Kev can help me out with this. If pi goes on forever, then maybe there's some sort of truth to that. I don't know, like because you need to.
But if you think about a vector graphic circle, right? If you're an illustrator, you can just keep expanding it, and it'll just always be a circle. It will never.
Yeah.
It will never
go.
That's
true.
It will never go blocky, will it? It'll just, and the same in a 3D program, right?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a pedantic take on, a perfect circle. Even if you get down to Planck length, if you had pixels the size of, a Planck length, you don't have a truly perfect circle. Because there's an element of it that's straight, even though it's so infinitesimally small. It's not a perfect circle. It's kind of silly, I think, the way he's trying to apply this. But I appreciate his other insights. I mean, he's got such a firm grasp of the double slit experiment.
Oh, right, yeah.
Delayed choice quantum eraser. Like these photons are making faces at us when we're not looking. And
right, yeah, that was a very odd. When I heard that, I thought, what the hell is he on about? That's so far away from really what it is.
Waving flags, shooting off fireworks, saying, "Hey, look how stupid I am when I say this."
Yeah. Is the other one that he talked about was this thing about a computer could predict the number that people were going to choose 8 seconds before they chose it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I sort of searched for this. I was hoping Scott would be here, and I asked him to be. But as usual, he isn't. But because he would know about this. But I did take a quick search for this, and I found some of these experiments that were kind of the nature that he's talking about. But definitely not that. It definitely could not predict what people were going to do 8 seconds in advance. There was some idea that it could make some sort of prediction. It was about when they made their decision. It knew that. It was able to know that. But there was some... This research has been criticised because of the way it's carried out. So it's far from conclusive, as all this, you always seem to find with this sort of psychological research. It's never, do you know what I mean? It's never.
It sounds insane. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Something could predict, even to predict when you're going to make it, because you could just make the choice to do whatever, not make the decision, I just don't get it. Like how
yeah. If you Google it, you'll see there's a Wikipedia page on it. People can find out about it. If they buzz back through the video, they'll find out what he's on about.
My impression was that he was referring to that delayed choice double slit, the quantum, they call the quantum eraser.
Well, he mentions that, and he mentions this experiment with computers where people were making a choice, and the computer was able to predict what this choice was. But I don't think that's true. It was able to predict when they made the decision, I think. But people said, well, there was some. Because they were sort of wired up to this thing, it could sense their anticipation, is what people say. And he said 8 seconds, and it was nothing like 8 seconds. It was like, 0.2 of a second or something like that. It was a fraction of a second anyway. It wasn't several seconds, as he said.
Yeah, I still think I didn't get any of that he was saying that there was an experiment. Did he actually say that?
Yeah, it's to do with that.
You pick a number, didn't he?
Was it something to do with free will and I can't remember.
He basically said that you could pick a number, and they had attached to their head this neural thing or whatever, and the computer could tell 8 seconds before you made the decision.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was it was a fraction of a fraction of a second. It couldn't predict your decision just when you were going to make it, and I think the criticism was that it was sensing this anticipation that some sort of physiological anticipation that it was picking up on as you're about to hit the button.
So Toady is saying he's seen the research and it could predict it a few milliseconds by detecting the neurons firing.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But not what Mark was saying. Not at all.
Right. Thank you, Toady, for clarifying there. We needed when I'm producing these things and I think, I need to at least know a little bit about that, and I go and have a look and there's a mass of stuff on it, and it's really a choice between really, getting into it or getting on with editing stuff. So usually I have to get on with editing stuff at that stage. So, should we have something else? We're banging through them, aren't we?
There's a computer somewhere already that knows what's coming.
Right.
Let's throw it off.
Do you know what's coming? Can you remember?
Well, I do because I watched the clips beforehand, but yeah, that's not.
Do you actually remember? Because I produced the thing and I don't remember.
I literally just finished watching it.
I have to write them all down, and I haven't got a clue when I get to the end of it what I put where. And if I had to list them all, I probably wouldn't be able to. All right, let's have another one. Flatty activist, that flat fellow, has been at it again. This time, in a battle of debating prowess, he takes on a local 12-year-old. I'm not sure which of the two of them is the most naive. Right at the end, you will see why. That flat fellow.
You believe the Earth is flat or a globe? Kind of neutral?
I haven't really seen hard evidence on it being flat, so...
Well, here's a video at 120,000 feet. Let me ask you this. You ever look up in the sky and you see the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time? You never seen the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time? What happens all the time? Do you believe that the International Space Station is in space? Okay. What is the height of the International Space Station? 254 miles up. All right. So what I'm about to tell you is off of NASA.gov. You can go on there and verify it for yourself. There's a satellite called the Icon satellite that NASA launched up there. They say the height of that satellite is 360 miles up. And it says it's there to observe the upper ionosphere, which is an area that is not space nor the atmosphere. So at 360 miles up, it's not in space. But at 254 miles up, you are in space. So even if it was up there, it's still not in space. If the Earth is 70% water and the surface of water is always flat, which if we pour water in a glass, a bathtub, pond or lake, the ocean, it's all flat. Horizon, horizontal, words have meaning. If 70% of the Earth is water and water's flat, where is it bending? The Dragon X launch?
Yeah.
Right. And so all their videos they posted online, they showed the launch, the docking, the astronauts, on there. And then they showed a landing video on the barge. If you take the landing video from the one that they just posted to the one from 4 years ago, overlay them frame by frame, it's the exact same thing. The smoke, the waves in the ocean, the tilt of the boat, the angle of the landing, everything is exactly the same. Do you believe that's possible? All the smoke, the waves, everything is the same?
Yeah, no, it's not possible to have it the same 2 times, but yeah, I can see if they...
So where do you think that video is now? It was pulled down off their site.
Really?
Right. Too many people realize it's fake.
Like in the later future, that they will bring passengers to the moon or in space. Would you, by chance, go as a passenger and Would you believe it?
I would never get on a passenger on anything that was going to space because you're going to hit the dome and die. You can't leave. The second law of thermodynamics, you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum without a container. We have to live in a container. So in order for you to get to space, you have to be outside the container. What are we going to do? How do you get outside the barrier? So according to mainstream science, now we're going with mainstream science here. The moon always faces the Earth right here. When they landed with Apollo 11, they landed right over here. Okay? So if they're right here and you're going to take a picture of the Earth, how would you angle the camera? Exactly. You'd have to, if you were here and the Earth was there, you'd have to shoot the camera straight up in the air, right? So in the Apollo 11 photo that they claim is real, it's here. How is that possible? How wide is the moon, according to mainstream science? 2,200 miles? What is the shadow cast on the Earth in an eclipse? 70 miles. Can you think of anything in the world that casts a shadow smaller than itself? See how I don't have all the answers though yet? So that's where people like you come in. Kids that are growing up and learning this. Now you got all your life to figure it out. Whereas, we've only been looking into it for 4 or 5 years. A friend of mine said, "Hey man, did you know the Earth is flat?" And I thought he was joking. He goes, "No. Really, have you looked into it?" I'm like, "I'm not looking into it." He's like, "Man, you used to fly. Can you tell me, did you see curvature up there?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." Because I used to fly planes for the Civil Air Patrol and I never saw any curvature. And he said, "Well, did you ever have to dip the nose of your plane when you were flying?" I said, "Come to think of it, no." He's like, "Well, if you don't have answers to the questions, will you at least humor me and look into it?" So I did. 3 months later, of staying up all night, losing sleep because I can't find answers to anything, here I am. I'll tell you what, look me up on YouTube, that flat fellow. In there, I'm going to post a link for Discord. You know what Discord is, right? You can join our Discord group, and you can come in whenever. Day or night, there's people on there all day and night. You can jump on, talk, and ask any question you want.
Okay, what is it?
That flat fellow.
That flat fellow?
Yep. So that if you have questions, you have somebody to ask questions. Because if you go into Google and type in flat Earth, you're not going to get the real stuff.
And that was that flat fellow inviting a 12-year-old to his Discord server. Which I thought was very naive of him and unwise.
Well, yeah, and it's also quite sad, like what Tim was saying in the chat. It's he's talking to a child about this,
right? And the things he was saying, of course, were just bollocks, weren't they? I mean, just a load of crap. The SpaceX thing that was shown to us this week. It took us about 90 seconds before the server debunked it. Basically, someone had taken a video from 4 years ago and then re-uploaded it as if it was a recent one. And then the flatties got hold of it and said, "Oh, look, the recent one and the one from 4 years ago are the same." And it just wasn't. It was the same video. And, of course, there's no way for SpaceX to take any of that down because their stuff it ends up all over the place, doesn't it? People live stream the launches. People do commentaries on it afterwards. I mean, there's dozens of channels covering SpaceX stuff. There's absolutely no way for them to remove anything once it's up. It's going to be up, isn't it? I mean, I know they did a switcheroo on one from YouTube, but the original will still be out there somewhere if people care to look for it. What else did he have in there?
Well, you see, I thought it was sad that the way he was sort of using the flat Earth debating tactics on this sort of part of the internet on a kid, because
right,
to be going like, "Oh, how high is the ISS? The second law of thermodynamics." He's just a kid. Would you really expect him to know any of that? Why not? If you really cared, why wouldn't you talk to him in a way that you were trying to teach it? I don't know. I just think it's just weird. It is weird. Sorry.
I mean, I probably made him look a little bit more badgering than he was because I edited it together. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But he was doing what you said. I mean, we heard all the same lines. I mean, you heard in there, words have meanings. Did you hear that one fly by? An Anthony Riley classic. The second law of thermodynamics. That bullshit that we hear all the time. you know, all the standard stuff. That SpaceX thing was just him being wrong about something. What else did he have?
Shadow.
Yeah, the shadow can't be smaller. We, of course, know he's wrong. The Apollo photo, that's where they get the Earthrise photo, and they think it's taken from the surface of the moon, and they say, how could it be possible that the Earth was on the horizon when it was taken from lunar orbit? I don't know how many times we've had to correct them on that.
No, it's still going.
It's back. Just said reconnecting for a moment there. Yeah, it's just gone to buffering, look. Yeah, I think it's come back. I think we're all right. Sorry about that if you lost us there for a second, folks. Don't know what that was. I think maybe one of my housemates is logging on or something.
It's all right. They're busy fighting in the chat, so that's fun. Fun times.
But he should not be inviting a kid to his bloody Discord, should he?
It's very silly.
You know, it's just unwise, you know. And, you know, he knows this is what gets me with these guys. They know that they haven't checked any of this. They know that they just got it off some twat on YouTube. But they're out there spouting it to kids like it's true. You know, why not, you know, at best just give him a flyer and piss him off. You know what I mean? Or just say, well, I know Marilyn spirit level, she won't deal with kids without speaking to the parents. So if any young kids come up to her, she says, oh, well, you'll have to go and ask your mum, and I can give you one of these. And then usually they go off and they say, yeah, it's fine, and then she gives them one. Because you know, like kids, little kids, they take anything for free, don't they? So, you know.
But do you think they? I wonder. Do you think they know that they have, or do you think there's just the bias is so strong they don't realise that they have only just taken the word of a YouTube video and they just assume that people they're listening to have done the research? Or do you think that, I don't know? Do you know what I mean? They must.
I just don't. I never get how they, because they, like I say, they know where they've got it from, and I understand that they're rejecting the mainstream sources and saying, well, they're no good, but they know that they haven't checked this stuff. You know, he must know that he hasn't actually bothered to try and make a shadow smaller than something, because if he had, he'd realise how easy it is, and he wouldn't be saying it.
Well, Jim, he was out there in sunlight with a ball in his hand. He could have done it right then and there.
Right. Oh, that's sun and moon in the sky at the same time. I mean, what the hell is that? That's very loud typing, dude.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. My bad.
You know, how many times do they have to come up with that? You know, and like, I don't get it. I never get that one. I think you must, you know, think about it. You know, it's the moon. Everyone can see it, and they have been able to for all of history. And you honestly think you're spotting some anomaly with it that no other human being beforehand has noticed? I mean, how can you think that? How can your reasoning be so fucked up that you think that nobody's... I mean, again, that goes back to how they see the rest of their fellow humans. That the rest of us just didn't add it up when we saw the moon in the sky in the daytime. We just, you know, we just never clicked with us that was problematic, apparently, you know.
Well, it's anti-biblical, Jim, for them to be in the same sky.
He's here, Kosho.
Hola.
I'm glad you're here, mate, because, you know, we're getting to the bit that's kind of relevant.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
So, all right. Does anyone have anything else to say on that before we move on?
Yes, Kosho, I assume you just woke up recently. I hope that you hugged yourself, kissed your arm, and told yourself that you loved you.
That's exactly right. I gave myself a kiss. That's right, yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
Glad to hear it. All right, let's have another one. And now, he may not yet have moved into Buckingham Palace, but he has taken residency here on the Sunday Roast. I'm talking about King John III of England, of course. Here is yet another quick update. Oh, And now another regular feature here on The Roast is for me to relax my audience with some lovely, relaxing music. Here's King John.
Have you seen the king today? He's the Lord Mahomet. So they say he's the king. Oh, it's not like that, see. A gentleman is he. So to share his gift of peace and joy for all the world to see.
I'm in Heathrow Terminal 2 and it's very, very quiet. What would normally be an extremely busy international airport looks like a Sunday supermarket car park. There's hardly any traffic here, very little passengers. And we've just dropped off our camera guy who's making his way back to Spain with one copy of all the material that we shot. I have a copy and we've uploaded one copy to the cloud because of the sensitive nature of the project we've done. We're going to make our way back separately for security reasons again, trying to get out of the UK and back to Spain in the current state of alarm is going to be a challenge.
I mean, there was so many signs, like talk about smack you in the face with them. I mean, when we got off the aeroplane and we were on our way there, it was like we were in a bubble of protection. I didn't sense anything bad. We didn't see any police, by the way, Charlie, and we were all over England. We were locations everywhere. I never saw one policeman.
Yeah.
So there was definitely something going on there, mate.
Well, there's also been, I noticed in the comments that there's been a number of comments that he's been killed, and it's amazing, isn't it? When you know what's going on.
That, Charlie. He gave me Jamie gave me the book to read, and I think I can't remember if it's 13 or 18. I started reading them, and he's basically got. I mean, obviously that you can't take the guy out with a sniper rifle because it has to be like an accident. So, you know, he had all the court reports as well, all stamped, every page with this with different accidents that are tried on him, poisoning, tampering with his vehicle. There were so many. This guy, I mean, for me, massive balls, massive respect to keep on going and putting out the truth. And what an amazing fellow. Amazing.
Yeah. Then there was the Merlin Falcon. The Merlin Falcon was the bird associated with Anne Boleyn. That's his direct ancestor. We were driving up a country road following him in his car, and this falcon flew alongside for about a good 5-6 minutes, just like this, flapping, coasting on it, flapping. And we were like, what is that? We thought it was an owl, but then it was different. And the falcon came back a couple of times. It sat in a tree above him watching. It flew in his window once, he told us too. So there was a lot of other signs. And then, listen, if I was to tell it here before people have seen the documentary, they would think I'm being biased and they would think I'm just trying to, grasp at things. So let's watch the documentary and we'll talk about that another time. But when we got out of the car, we first met him, it wasn't handshakes, it was a hug. He's such a grounded, down-to-earth, humble man. Yeah. So to be able to decode the Bible is the whole secret. And he has. And Jesus, for example, the Holy Grail, which is still around, he knows where it is. Greg knows where it is. He wouldn't tell me exactly where it is. He wouldn't tell me the material it was made out of, but he has photographs of it. He said, the Holy Grail that Jesus used at the Last Supper was given to him by the Egyptian Pharaoh. Yeah. But what I can tell you is we saw it firsthand, all the documentation. And he was getting phone calls from very, very high up American security forces. We had one of the code word was the general, and we don't know if it's a general or not, but you could hear in the man's voice, he was very authoritative.
Yeah.
And he was calling Greg, sir. Yes, sir. Would you, if it was too much bother, would you mind? So Greg has uploaded all the documentation that he's filed with the British courts, making his claim on the throne. And the general said to him, he said, "Sir, has anybody contested this?" He said, "No, nobody has said this is not true." So, I mean, that says it's something there, you know. You put the documentation. You'd think somebody would say, "Hey, man, this is total. What are you doing?" But nobody has.
But this is something that Lee and I have done right from the start. You know, I'm not the Messiah. This is just our view. And if you've got any hard evidence that goes against what we're saying, then bring it to us.
Here's the thing, Charlie. I fully anticipate this to be attacked.
Yeah.
And for the bad energy people to sort of try to keep this from coming out. So we're trying to put it out on all media, everywhere at the same time, so they cannot stop this tidal wave of truth.
Question your spiritual beliefs. Some of the contents of this interview.
The biggest secret in the Catholic Church. This is the key.
Hang on. You might find it shocking.
But the coronavirus actually means we crown him in Latin.
But the truth is there for you to make your own mind up.
We're looking at the biggest coup in history.
Oh, what a load of old bollocks that is. So that's King John III. And a lot of guys who are very excited about him for reasons unbeknownst to reasonable people, I feel.
It's a weird one, this, isn't it? It's so
It really
weird.
is. Why are these guys taken in by such obvious bullshit? I don't get it.
You think they're putting it on a little bit? Like, I guess, because I mean, if they're making, I guess it seems like a full-scale kind of documentary thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I kind of think. Do you think they're in on it or not? They seem quite. But you never know, do you?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. It just that guy. I can't remember his name. You know, the sort of plumpish guy. You know, he seems like such a nice fellow. You know, he's a
Not the
Christian.
Messiah, that guy.
Yeah, he's a Christian. You know, he does videos talking about. Well, he's a QAnon type Christian, but the Christianity's definitely there. He lives in. Where does he live? He lives in Spain or somewhere like that. Maybe one of the Spanish islands. I don't know. He seems sincere.
But yeah, but when not him, but the other guy is saying like, "Oh, there's a falcon flying alongside our car for 5 minutes."
Yeah.
I mean, why would you film that with your phone? If that was happening, I would.
Well, you know, I wish I'd included that guy because on the, you know, the very first time I covered this, and we'd got some clips from quite a long, well, actually 3 hangouts that he'd done. And that guy, that filmmaker guy, he comes in at the end of the last hangout and he's, you know, watched all this stuff and he knows these guys anyway. And he's really excited by it, you know, and he said, I think I did sort of give a bit of commentary at the time where, you know, he'd got these 2 feature films that he wanted to make and he's cancelled them for this because he thinks it's more interesting, you know, more important story and, you know. But then all this stuff he does about airports and the challenge of travel, you know, that's all a bit bullshitty, I think. He seems like a bit of a drama queen about that, you know.
Right, it's just this falcon thing. It seems really dishonest. Yeah,
right,
to me, anyway,
yeah,
you know.
that's
where I had
that
a
just
real
seemed like
problem.
totally made up shit.
No, it blew in the window.
Yeah. Yeah, because he had said that, hadn't he, in his earlier one about this falcon flying in the window. I mean, there was another video I saw this week from a channel called, I should have written it down. I think it was called Questions About Anne Boleyn or something like that. And there was a very nice, very knowledgeable, very reasonable lady on there that had received a lot of comments and questions and emails about this. So, and she said she'd ignored it and she didn't want to deal with it because it was nonsense, but she'd had so much stuff on it, she felt she had to deal with it. And she made this video basically saying, well, he said this, and we know that that's bollocks, and she said this, and we know that that's rubbish, and it was just, just everything he's saying is just nonsense, you know. So,
can one of you guys clear something up for me real quick? Because I thought I heard it and I didn't want to rewind it while it's live and everything. But was he talking about him getting assassinated?
Yeah, he believes that there's been assassination attempts on him because he's got this claim to the throne. So you would expect that to be the case. Although he also says that the Queen's already abdicated and they're just, they're just redecorating it for him before he moves into the palace, and this sort of thing. So it doesn't really make sense that they'd be trying to assassinate him if they've already given it all up.
Would these people be able to meet him without the Secret Service shaking them down first as well?
Right. I mean, it's all just very silly, isn't it? And very, just totally unbelievable in any. I mean, how do they think that this is going to come about?
But that's what I mean. I'm not so sure. They seem very, gullible maybe and taken in by it. But I just can't. When you hear some of those comments, you just think you're bullshitting. Do you know what I mean? And there's a financial interest there for them to bullshit because they're making a program about it, right? So.
Well, he is. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe they just cooked it all up between them. It's. I guess it is. It is looking a bit more that way, but I just see that guy as being sincere,
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I wouldn't have even had said that like that he's orchestrating the whole thing. I was more so thinking that those guys in there, believing it or whatnot, they could just be putting that on a little bit. But I think that guy is totally legitimate. He seems like he's taking people. And that they take people for a ride. That's also possibly why he's able to, like he wrote those letters and everything, is because they're seeming to believe him. You know what I mean? Like if he thinks they believe him, then he's going to keep going forward with, telling them they got letters from the Queen with from French and all this stuff. He's going to keep coming up with more stuff. So I think possibly they are even lying to him. You know what I mean? And just pretending to believe it more than they do. But it's possible they also believe it. So it's hard to say.
I think they will become more and more frustrated with nothing happening, though, and nothing is going to happen on this. So, you know what I mean? He's going to have to come up with something. I don't know. I guess we should keep watching this one because there seems to be a new chapter to the story every week. But that also would be evidence that they're generating a story, wouldn't it? So
that's I tell you, I love this story. It's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I must admit I like this one because it just, I don't know, it just seems so harmless in a way. I mean, I don't really like its Q connection, but I think that's very sort of a tentative connection anyway. Sort of these Q guys are trying to tie it into that, but I think a lot of Q people are not. They're not either not. They don't know about it. They don't care about it because Q, I think, is more of an American thing anyway, or they don't believe it.
I'd have him as king of the world with that Corona in his hand in a church. Or whatever he was.
Crazy. Kings drink Corona, man. What are you talking about?
Whatever he had. What was that other thing? Yeah, because he said Corona, wasn't it? As well, he said. What was that? Coronation?
Yeah,
crowned him king or something like that.
But again, the production values. We've had some great videos this week in terms of production quality, I think, and this is another one with this, this upcoming documentary that we're about to see. It looks like they've got some people that really know their craft on that.
Speaking of production quality, do you know if the redecorators consulted Ranty on this operation, or was he sliding?
Yeah, that would have been a good one for him, wouldn't it? If he'd said he'd got the contract to do the palace. Apparently, it's costing us the best bit of £500 million to fix, to refurbish the palace. Which I've seen some people complaining about, but I don't know what they expect the redecoration costs on I don't know, whatever it is. Is it a couple of 100 years old, Buckingham Palace? It's not ever so old, is it? But
It'd be nice if they're quite rich. They could probably, do us all a favour and take one for the team,
Well,
pay the bill.
At the end of the day, it's a
Time of
public
economic
building, mate.
hardship.
You've got to keep them standing, haven't you? And when you've got old historic buildings like that, that is a major international tourist attraction that must bring in billions to its existence, must bring in billions to the country. Why wouldn't you spend 500 million quid refurbing it?
Can anybody walk
Why
into?
not?
Can anybody visit the Buckingham Palace anytime they want? Like,
well, they did. You didn't used to be able to, and then they opened it up for a while. When the Queen needed a load of money to repair Windsor Castle, where there was a major fire at Windsor Castle. But I don't know. Is it still open? I don't know. Do you know, Kat?
It's all boarded up.
I know it is.
apparently.
Well, I know
I
they're
don't know.
refurbishing at the moment, but is it normally open to visitors?
I have no idea, honestly, even though I live near.
I can't remember. I know they did that for a while, but I don't know whether they kept doing it permanently. So I don't know. Maybe someone will know. There was a super chat that I missed from Toady UK. Says, still working, but where is Sam? Good point. Sam Hine. He's great.
Good guy.
He's
Top
so
fella.
great, that guy. He's just the best guy.
He's one of my favorite people, to be honest with
He's
you.
awesome, isn't he? He's awesome in every way.
He should probably be the king of England.
He could.
Yeah.
I would definitely vote for him if we voted for kings.
Yeah, same here.
Should we have another clip?
Yeah.
We could do. We're getting to the meat and bones of it here now. Modern Day Debates this week hosted a debate between Nathan Thompson and Wits It Gets It, and MC Toon and a guy called Stephen, who I don't know, I haven't come across before, but hello to him. 2 clips from this to come, kicking off with this great moment when veteran Flatty with 5 years of research under his belt learns about geodetic surveying for the first time. That is veteran Flatty Nathan Thompson, I should have said.
These were land surveyors. So they did that. It's complicated. And they came out with the radius. Now, here's the cool thing. People did it in India. People did it in the UK. People have done it in South America. And they get the same numbers.
Hey, McToon, you said they measured the arc across the United States. How are people in India and people in the UK measuring the arc across the United States? And also, how did they do that?
They measured it across their country, of course, not across the United States.
Oh, okay. And so how did they measure the arc across the 3,000 mile across the United States, buddy?
They measured their position on one side using celestial navigation techniques. They measured their position on the other side using celestial navigation techniques. Then they measured the distance using surveying techniques, which is not looking at the sky. That's just triangulation, right?
So they use surveying techniques to measure 3,000 miles across the United States?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? And you guys have all that data?
Yes, it's in the
going
book.
3,000 miles across. And what instruments did they use to measure
They
it?
use theodolites is their main angle measuring device.
Got you. And how far were they able to measure and then stop and reposition their theodolite and then measure and stop and reposition their theodolite?
Well, it is all in the book, but they
I mean, you read it, right?
Some
tell
of them,
it's all
yeah,
in there. We know it's
absolutely.
all in there. We know it's 1,000 pages, McToon. I'm asking you for answers.
Yeah. Well, I was giving it to you before you
No,
interrupted.
you're telling us it's all in the book.
Let's
okay?
give him a chance to respond, Nathan.
Let him finish. He'll tell you. I mean, it's that simple.
We're still waiting.
Nathan.
All right, I'll share this here. So let's see here.
He's saying that they drove with theodolites across the United States, guys. I want everyone to hear this.
Yeah, they don't take into account.
That's how surveyors do it. Yeah.
McToon, you have to take into account topography. The theodolites will rely on the presupposition of the horizon being a physical occurrence. In addition to that,
I'm sorry. Hold on. They're not measuring the horizon.
I
They're
didn't say
measuring
they
from
were.
point to point.
Yes,
You
you're
said
saying
they're
what?
presupposing the horizon.
What are they using? What are they using to measure it?
They're using theodolites to measure angles from other points, not the horizon. The horizon is not part of it.
Okay, and so what they do is they look in the sky, and then that substantiates your claim of physicality of terra firma being curved.
No, they look in the sky to get their starting point and ending point, right? Once
Okay.
they've got their starting point and ending point, so they know exactly the coordinates that they are on the Earth, then they're not using that anymore. Then they're just using surveying techniques and triangulation.
When it says angles and all that stuff, McToon, are they just talking about the sky?
No, none of this is sky. This is point to point. So you can see here at the top it says big rocks, and then Sims, and then coal. So these are different stations that they're measuring from.
Okay, and then observed angles.
Right,
next to
and
it.
so here's the angles and the distances in meters. So here's
Angles for what? What are the angles for? Are they using more
From-
celestial navigation?
I keep telling you they're not looking at the sky. Can you get that through your head? All right. So big rocks, 50 degrees, 46 minutes, 43.96 seconds. That's the angle between Sims and coal. That's the other 2 points, right? So they measured to Sims, they measured to coal from big rock. So they got that angle. Then they went to Sims and they measured their angle between big rocks and coal. Then they went to coal and measured the angle between big rocks and Sims, right? Now, here's the cool thing, right? If you see over here,
The cool
there's
thing is
this
you
little-
verified all that.
Hold on, Nathan.
The cool thing would be you verified it.
Let's give him a chance to finish.
No, this is part of the religion, guys. This is the obfuscation.
Yeah.
This is what you
can't-
have
stop
to do.
interrupting.
We can't
I'm not
just interrupt.
It's a back and
So-
forth debate, and
Well,
you're
yeah, to be fair, McToon
let's-
interrupts me 3
let's give
times,
him-
and I talk for 30 seconds.
Let's give him just a little bit longer. I promise we'll come right back to you, Nathan and Austin.
The cool thing is all of these triangles have a little thing here where they add up to more than 180 degrees. Every single one of them. On a flat surface, every triangle measures 180 degrees. On a sphere, every triangle measures more than 180 degrees. It's an absolute necessity. So if these added up to 180 exactly, Earth's flat. If they measure more than 180, Earth is not flat.
Hey, McToon.
All of these more than 180 degrees.
Go ahead, Nathan and Austin. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, have you verified any of this religious scripture you're presenting today, McToon? Or is this all secondhand evidence that they did? Because you keep saying they, and I don't know who they
Sorry.
are. I don't trust them.
Is this the genetic fallacy you're going with?
No, I'm going
Got
with
it.
the, have you verified anything you're saying to the audience, McToon?
I'll go with genetic fallacy there.
Yeah,
You're just
okay,
denying
well,
evidence.
No, just ignore the question. Ignore the question. It's just numbers on a chalkboard, bro. You think we're stupid? You think we're that gullible? I've been across the U.S. I've been to Salt Lake City.
I have opinions,
I've been to the Salton Sea. I've been to Lake Pontchartrain. I've been to Lake Michigan. They're all flat, measurably flat. You can see Chicago from the other side of Lake Michigan with your eyeballs. I don't need a bunch of guys, they, to tell me where I live. I'm not a globehead. I'm not McToon. I don't point people to my website. I've been doing the research and my own observations for 5 years. Okay?
So you have measurements of flatness.
You're the one who says it's so big it looks flat, bro. You're out of the debate. You don't even have anything to say. Okay?
No, I want to know what your measurements of flatness are. You said you've measured it, so where's your measurements?
You don't measure flatness, you look for curve and realize it's flat, okay? If the earth was curving downward, you said out of your globehead mouth, it would be 7.7 inches of drop over 1 mile. Now, does that get exponentially bigger or is that logarithmic, globehead?
All right. So do you have actual measurements?
I'm
Because so
sorry, I was
far,
talking to Steven, your partner.
No.
He felt, I thought you wanted to say something now. I thought
no
you-
evidence presented so far. So
No, geodetic surveying done over Earth, not accounting for topography, relying on the base presupposition of celestial alignment does not in any way validate your physical claim of curvature, McToon. Mathematical constructs are just that, mathematical constructs. I've seen an equation explaining how Superman can fly. That's such a cool story. We're looking for empirical, verifiable evidence of your claim of physicality of the Earth curving. not mathematical constructs built off presuppositions, not accounting for topography, and then creating it within the confinements of said presuppositions.
You don't know how much curve your tilted cartoon testicle should have. You're done. Okay. You say it's really, really, really big.
No, I'm just holding you to your claim. You said you had measurements and you don't have any measurements.
No, wait, time out. Stephen, you don't seem to understand. Measurements of flatness. What are you talking about? Okay, you measure distances. If it's flat, you can see over those distances. You would measure the curvature. You do understand that, right?
It's like show me a measurement for no curve. How do you show someone nothing? Okay, I'm telling you the curve isn't there. I ask you how much curve there should be, and you just obfuscate and pretend like I won't answer your questions because you're just a globe Earth crybaby. Cool story, bro.
Cool story, McLooney Tunes.
So that was a cool story, bro.
What a cool story.
Cool story, bro.
Cool story, McGoon.
Cool story.
That's such a cool story. Cool story.
Cool story, Glover.
Oh, well, that was a cool story, I think. What do you reckon?
Hey, this is not a cool look to stream. Tell me about Flat Earth, bro. Yeah.
That's funny.
Cat is marketing vape products, I believe. I think that's what he's up to.
Yeah, to be fair, if that guy wants to buy vape stuff,
crystal clear. No, but yeah, dude. Like for the first half of that video, it's funny that they asked these questions. They feel like or Nathan feels like profound questions. He has like every answer. He's like, how do they measure this, huh? What they do is like, yeah, they measured it there and they measured it here. They drove across the country and that's what they do. Yeah. He's like, oh, okay.
I want the audience to know about this. They measured all the way across the United States. Yeah, they did a lot more than that, Nathan. Not just this one measurement across, up, down, all over the place. Every other country as well. But I just find it astounding that he's just finding out about this for the first time. And you can see the reaction. It's not, oh, thank you for this new data that I hadn't got before. It's presupposing the celestial alignment to the... Oh, God, he does talk such a bollocks, that guy. Let's not talk about him because we're going to do him next.
Well, you know with Nathan Thompson though, he was doing a live thing like maybe a year and a half ago, and so I went to go do his live stream because he was doing a debate, and I remember talking to him then, and again, more recently, and being surprised with how his arguments and his knowledge of like anything related to any of this, like the flat Earth, like even compared to flat earthers, he's like. He always seems like a brand new flat earther. It's weird. It's like he's like out of the loop of like the main arguments. If you know what I mean. Like I'm not sure he's probably not even up to date with like the Black Swan thing, because he's like he uses old arguments. Like he's just hearing about them for the first time. Whereas a lot of them are already aware of this kind of stuff. So I wonder if he's just he's not really in the loop as most of them are, or at least like in a loop with each other. You know what I mean? Like getting the same content, or at least paying attention to it.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, he is a bit like that.
I have a question. If Shitsit is correct when he says you don't measure flatness, why does Nathan and the other flat earthers say it's measurably flat?
Yeah, that one came back to haunt them a few times. I mean, it just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? They're saying, they don't have to measure it because you can't do that anyway. All you can do is measure a distance between 2 points and say it's flat, apparently. You don't have to measure it. You just say, oh, well, it's flat. It looks flat, I guess. And then when you've got people with actual measurements, oh, no, they're no good. They're not empirical, apparently. Or Nathan's one was, have you verified it? Well, again, I've got a video coming up on this, actually. But, how does that make a difference? If MC Toon goes out and makes those measurements himself and writes them down and shows them to Nathan, how is that any different from Nathan's point of view? If somebody else does it and MC Toon points out that somebody else has done it. it makes no difference, does it? It's
it's
second-hand evidence on both occasions. Nathan Thompson doesn't automatically believe things because MC Toon did them, does he?
It's just a way to attack his opponent.
Right.
That's all.
It's just a silly tactic that just reveals, I think, how these people who claim to be all about truth are all about hiding from anything that, that might challenge what they think is the truth.
But it could be an essential part of adding 2 inches to your height, however.
Yeah.
You know, people have been going around asking about the. It's not really a big deal, but Bev's been going around and asking people like, who would you pick as your 2 people dream team for like a globe side debate or flat Earth debate, like on either side.
Right.
And the truth is, like, you watch something like this, and it's easy to forget that. Beforehand, I'll team up with this person or whatnot. Okay, well, I'm doing it with this person. But sometimes when you're in it like that, you probably like really regret, the person who you're debating with, because at times it seems like Witsit is like listening to something Nathan's asking or saying. He's like, "Fuck, don't say that." It's like you can tell like he's digging himself deeper in a hole.
Right.
And it's like, yeah. So you gotta be careful with that shit.
And he just wants to sit there. I mean, well, we'll see. We'll get to him in a minute because we've got a clip that's all about his approach to this debate. So we could probably do that now, actually, couldn't we? And then we could just chew it all over in one, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So let me get my little intro. And in our final clip this evening, we return to the same debate to hear from Witsit Gets Its Best Bits. See what I did there? That was clever, wasn't it? Hit it.
I like that.
See what you did there.
All right, so McToon, you can't just presuppose solidity of the sun. You don't know the characteristics of the sun. You certainly don't know the attenuation properties between you and the sun. So, boom, math, done. You have the burden of proof. What Globers do is shift the burden of proof to some strongman model because they don't understand the simplicity and the idea that the falsification of the globe Earth model that they are proponents of is independent of a replacement model. We simply don't have all the information to know exactly what the Earth is. It's called the intellectually honest position. Yeah. So you have to assume solidity and characteristics of the sun, and you would have to know the attenuation properties, thus the medium intricacies of how it differentiates from you to said sun. So all of your math is just a human construct. You should describe your presupposition. So it's not impressive. Math describes, science explains. Your entire fairy tale religion is void of scientific empirical evidence. So again, in conclusion, it's very simple. The burden of proof lies with the globe Earth. It's a positive claim of specificity, thus it has the burden of proof of specificity. You cannot shift the burden of proof to a strongman model and think that makes the Earth a magic spinning cartoon ball. You're making a positive claim of axial rotation, bro, okay? So you're going to have to substantiate that, pointing at the sky and saying, I promise this happens because the Earth's a magic tilted ball on a 66.6 degree tilt, subtracted from 90 degrees, which is where you get a 66. So this magic cartoon, we don't need you to just presuppose it, bro. When you look in the sky, it moves, okay? You're claiming causality being axial rotation, although the default position would be that it's stationary. You have the burden of proof. Can you substantiate terra firma spinning and rotating on an axis, or are you just going to point to the sky and say, I promise that's why the sky moves? So you didn't actually listen when I said you can't just presuppose causality. Okay, do we have any, can any one of you offer us a demonstration in which gas pressure can exist without being physically contained here locally on Earth without presupposing your fairy tale?
Yeah, gravity does it.
Okay, you have to reify gravity and then beg the nature.
No, I've presented 13 measurements of gravity.
No, you haven't presented.
Hey, didn't I just say you can't
website.
presuppose your fairy tale, dude? I said, do you have anything we can do and replicate via observation locally on Earth without presupposing your fairy tale? Well, all observations show us that. So you're making a claim contrary to all observable phenomena in existence. Okay. So we would need you to substantiate the even potentiality of that, McTim.
I don't just because you've not seen it before, that means it can't happen.
What
No.
is your physical container?
I've seen
What?
it with all cartoons. That's why I
What
don't
is
believe-
your physical container?
Look, man, I'm not sure if you're aware how intellectual form works, okay? But you're making a positive claim contrary to all observable phenomena. You have the burden of proof to substantiate potentiality of your postulation. You don't shift the burden of proof over to where we can't legally travel. So, are you
Why can't
making
you
a claim
legally travel?
contrary to all? You're making a claim contrary to all observable phenomena, the necessary antecedent to gas pressure being physical containment, without you reifying your belief system. Can you give us something we can replicate locally?
A physical container. What is your physical container? Is that
I'm
your magical
asking
bean?
you to prove your positive claim, and you're shifting the burden of proof over to something that is literally not possible for me to know the answer to.
Good one, Steven. Another ace in the hole, bro. Keep
How
using
is it
that one.
not possible?
Keep using that one, buddy. You're gonna get far, dude.
Okay, I'll answer for you guys. The answer is no, you can't. There isn't an observation that can be replicated locally on Earth in which you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of physical containment. That is the answer. You invoked gravity, and then you use the outdated rhetoric. The current scientific rhetoric is that gravity is the effect of warped space-time. The theory of relativity, right, makes three claims. It attributes a positive speed of light, right, a constant speed to light. It says energy and mass are interchangeable, and that gravity is the effect of warped space-time. That's the current scientific rhetoric. So you're saying that that is causing the replacement for physical containment, and you're conceding that you can't replicate it without reifying your belief. Religion's being dismantled live time, and you're spiraling. But here's the deal: our proof is listen carefully. All observable phenomena, Looney Tunes. I don't know where the disconnect is here. All means
except I cited one.
entirety of observable phenomena shows us the necessary antecedent to gas pressure is physical containment. It's in the word pressure, bro. Presses on the walls of a container. Any definition for
the
gas
word
pressure
is in
says
there.
walls of a container.
Excellent.
You're making a claim. I'm almost done. You're making a claim contrary to all observable phenomena. So you need to prove that it's even possible for that to happen, Looney. Let me just break this down for the viewer, because I don't think Looney Tune even knows his claim really. But so gravity relative to the Earth has a singular vector. You should probably pay attention. So it has a singular vector, yet you're claiming that it stops the dispersal of gas in all directions. In addition, when you let gas out the surface level, it goes in all directions, where according to your little religion would be the strongest force of gravity. Yet when it gets way further away from the surface level, all of a sudden it flips the switch on and gravity works. So even if we give you the presupposition of your deified little force, which is now in effect not even a force, known as gravity, it doesn't answer the question of the singular vector in which is imposed relative to the Earth and why it doesn't work on the surface level but turns on much further. In addition, you can't even substantiate gravity. So can you address any of that? You're making a very positive claim of specificity, okay? We are saying that based on all observable phenomena, the necessary antecedent to gas pressure is physical containment based on the natural law of second law of thermodynamics. You're making a claim contrary to that. You have to substantiate the potentiality of your postulation, bro. For the viewer at home, I debated McToon one time. I did present evidence called the Black Swan. From 1 foot observer height, you can see over 9.5 miles, where the geometric horizon should be no further than 1.2 miles, making the globe Earth have to have a radius of 250,000 miles approximately to have that observation. He says,
just go into that just before the Q&A, dude. You couldn't go one debate without saying Black Swan.
No, literally not at all. We went and tested the physical claim of a rate of curvature necessitated by the circumference, which is where you deduce the radius. We went and tested said curvature. It's non-existent. Thus, we falsified the radius. With the falsification of radius, the entire model implodes. It's called empirically verifying your claims. We disproved them. It's literally independent of any type of spiritual belief system. What does that mean, bro? There's a claim of physical geometric horizon. We falsify the radius. Globe is dead. 2020. Get over it. It's no big deal. Yeah, in a cartoon medium. SpaceX gets $400 million from the government. They lie, bro. Just accept it. The government lies. It's not a big deal.
To the flat earthers, measurements of flatness. Give us numbers of this measurement of flatness.
Yeah, we see 200 miles, 270 miles, 1,000 miles, lasers 27 miles, Black Swan from 1 foot, we see 9.5 miles. That is the measurements, the distance void of physical obstruction caused by curvature. It really isn't complicated. Yeah. Did you know the theory of relativity was a reification fallacy that attributes physical properties to conceptual abstractions and a privation?
Says, thank you, Bob, for proving the Earth has a 15-degree drift every hour. Is that true?
Are there actually people that come to every flat Earth debate and say that same thing over and over? It's retarded. He actually went to a different elevation, showing that it seems to be a different causality of derivation, such as potentially movement within the ether field or a drift. So presupposing causality isn't how science works.
Debate Flat Earth and more. Thanks for your super chat. Said, Modern Day Debate, does Witsit Gets It have the potential to recognize the necessary antecedent of a Nathan Oakley catchphrase?
Yeah, cool story. I know a lot of you Glovers are incapable of independent critical assessment and an ability to articulate yourselves well, so you just assume that anyone that can do those things must be copying other people, but some of us just aren't morons.
Well, you are a moron, Witsit, I'm afraid. A very obvious one.
Well, that was painful.
Oh, wasn't it? According to Pete Shea, he speaks well.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. And that's basically the summary right there, dude. Is we all just watch that, right? And it's like you hear what he's saying, and it's just a fucking babbling brook of bullshit, right?
Right.
And then Pete Shea's response is, "Wow, this guy's a great speaker."
Right.
See what I mean? And that's his whole fucking thing. That's why it's effective.
Right. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And he just sits there telling you that you've got the burden of proof, telling you what your argument is going to be, telling you that you've conceded the point, and that, and he moves on to give you an answer and things. He's unbelievable. He's just constantly laying arguments on people that they haven't made. He said about, you invoked gravity and you invoked... what was it, the wrong sort of gravity or something like that. And, well, he didn't. He just said gravity. That's all he said. He didn't say Newtonian gravity or Einsteinian. But, of course, Witsit's got all of his stuff from Oakley and Eraser and Riley, hasn't he? And so that's an essential part of it, that you say, oh, Newtonian gravity's been superseded by Einsteinian. And, which sort of gravity do you mean? Oh God, it's just so... That guy is a dickhead.
Yeah, I mean, he is, but you can't help but see, like, that. That's why, to me, I don't want to use the word dangerous or something, but it's like, it is kind of, it's scary a little bit, because like I said, it's like, we can see, Quantum Racer's got the same sort of effect. It's like when you see and hear them say, like, a bunch of dumb shit, a bunch of bullshit, to a normal person, for some reason, it's got this, like, different effect on certain types of people. They really, like, they eat it up. Like, he's saying some profound shit. When he's saying, like, 5 or 6 of the same words, just where they don't belong most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was saying this last night, he puts itty on the end of things, doesn't he? Like, causality. But just say cause. You know what I mean? You don't, or potentiality. Just say potential. You know what I mean? You don't need all that crap on the end. And you know what I mean? To anyone who speaks the language and knows how to use the language, he just looks like a moron who's trying to sound clever. But he just doesn't get that. You know what I mean? You'd think, once he'd had that pointed out to him a few times, because he gets a lot of comments, about his delivery, he would think, oh, maybe this isn't working too well. But no, well, though, as you say, though, it works well with the audience that he's trying to impress, I guess.
He says it convincingly, but it's his confidence that sways people, because he says it convincingly.
And you can get hell from 1,000 people like us. You give him hell,
right?
But one person's praise is gonna is gonna make him feel like he's been effective. It's gonna make him feel like he's gotten through to somebody, and everyone else is just bullshit, fucking shills or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's how it works too. Because you see some of the praise him and people like him get are incredible sometimes. Like people talk about like crying and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right, and
I forgot who said that.
He came out of nowhere, didn't he? As well. I mean, I'd never heard of him, and then he was on Globebusters. you know. And so I think obviously Bob was taken in by him. So I don't know, but yeah, he was the new Globebuster, wasn't he?
Yeah. And
Is
you
he
know,
still
just like I
doing
said
that?
earlier,
I haven't watched it for a few weeks. I think it was their last show for a while tonight, wasn't it? It was their season finale.
yeah, I can't remember. I do remember that when he first joined, because that's when I debated him. And actually, I was the one who brought Bob Nadel's 15 degrees per hour. And he's like, come on, man. He's like, he's not even here. You're going to bring that up? Or I'm like, yeah, dude, you're in the Globebusters, right? And
right.
like, he's your friend and he proved the globe. So, no, but just like I said earlier with the him sitting there with Nathan Thompson was going off and being like, fuck. Like, he's like, you know, would probably correct him if he wasn't in a debate, like partners with him. It was like, I think Nathan Thompson sitting there when he's talking and just kind of like not understanding anything he's saying probably.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because he just looks like wide-eyed the entire time.
Yeah, there's one bit at the end. I don't know whether I included it. Where I think I might have taken it out. Where he went, Whitsitt says a load of stuff, and then Nathan Thompson comes on and says, "Yeah, and I don't know this other thing, and everything that Whitsitt just said as well. All that stuff he just said." You know, like this. It's like you got no chance of repeating any of it or really expanding on any of it or anything like that. Just. You know, yeah, all that stuff he said as well, you know. So, yeah, it was a good debate, though. I did enjoy it. I thought, you know, I thought James does a great job on there, I have to say, doing that.
You know,
the moderator guy.
Yeah, I put off watching this, or these types of debates, but when I saw this clip, yeah, it definitely seems like he's at least a great debater and like he got to the point and he had the stuff like queued up and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like,
MC Toon. Yeah, I thought he did an excellent job. He really did. He knew. I think he knew exactly what he was going to be facing. I think he's done a few of these. To be honest, I've avoided these debates. I don't really watch them because, you know, what's the point, kind of thing. But, you know, I was hard up for material, and this one did, I thought, provide some things worth seeing because I just thought that's a great moment with Thompson where he'd never even heard of it. You know what I mean? It's amazing. You know, and it makes you think about how many times you hear them say, there's no measurable curvature anywhere. When, of course, you know, most of the places they're standing has been measured to have curvature, you know, by one of these sort of surveys at some point. So, I don't know, it just beggars belief that after all this time, with channels like Jesse Kozlowski and, you know, all the times I know I brought it up in arguments and I know other people have. And it's still like a mystery to people like Nathan Thompson, you know. Amazing.
I've never heard anyone say that word more than pure, you know, from your server.
Right.
Yeah, he brings it up so much when he says geodetic surveyors. But it's true because they do physically measure the Earth.
Well, that's it, and it doesn't involve NASA, and it, you know what I mean. It is probably, you know, it's actual measurements of the curve. So, you know, what's better than that? But of course, they rejected it out of hand because he hadn't verified it. You know, which is just idiotic, as I've said.
Whitsitt. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but he's probably the biggest QAnon dude on that server.
Really?
Like
is he all?
Yeah. He's big on him. Or he brings him up, or he almost like kind of tries to hint at it, but he's bringing it up in a big way. But he's like, I don't know if I trust what he's saying, but he's putting out all this information, and I think it's going to come true and all this stuff. And he kind of he's the one who unloads it to all of them on that server most of the time.
Right. Interesting. Right. Well, if nobody's
Did McToon guy? Did he ever finish? Sorry, I've been vaping. My front voice. Did he ever finish the Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he did.
Nice. It looked like he was pretty close to it in those clips.
Yeah. Good job. Those things hurt my head big time.
Yeah.
There's tricks, you know. I've done it in less than 5 minutes, but it's because there's algorithms. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah.
And you can read people's minds as well, Kosher. It's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerous guy.
I'll tell people about that, huh?
The best thing to do, I think, is dismantle the Rubik's Cube. And then once you see how it works, it makes it easier to solve, I think.
And you can put the pieces together any way you want.
Well, not that. Just that was what did it for me. When I saw one, for some reason, someone took one to bits, and I was like, "Oh, right, now I get it." And then I found it a lot easier. Yeah.
To be honest, I've never figured it out without using just the algorithms. Like there's like 5 or 6 different sections, and if you just do the algorithms for that section, it's like it's basically like remembering the pattern. But obviously, there's got to be quicker ways of doing it because people can do it in like 10 seconds. I think there's like the record or something, or maybe 4 seconds.
Yeah. Some people do it really quick, don't they? And they're usually like 9 years old, aren't they? The people who can do it really quick.
But blindfolded too.
Yeah, they're usually some little kid. All right, shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, you've made me feel really stupid, so let's just finish this.
Why have I? How?
Well, because
I tell you,
Rubik's Cube.
I tell you, man, you look it up, like you look up the algorithms and all that, and you'll be impressed with people tomorrow.
Hang on, I might give them the wrong impression here, Kat. It takes me probably about 20 minutes to do it. I can't just do it.
Oh, that's pretty crap, to be fair. Yeah, I do feel a bit.
It's just taking it to bits just helped me develop a method. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, that does make me feel better. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Oh, poor cat. Oh. All right, let's wrap it up. Join us again next week for more fabulous flatness. In the meantime, if you see something you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of this video, or join our Discord server. The link is in the description, along with channel links for tonight's panel. Our Discord has over 2,000 members, and we managed to keep a conversation going virtually 24/7. We welcome members with opposing views, so click the link and join us. Thanks again to tonight's fabulous panel. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back around the same time next week, so until then, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Have a great evening.
Talking about it and do something! Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit. Really?
It's like a gentle hate. Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent? Is your friend?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet. This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person. You can't have a flat earth, and